Hari Om friends, welcome once again to Sanatan Duniya, your spiritual home. In this video, I shall be giving my commentary on the first sloka of Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Dakshinamurthy Stotram is a composition and spiritual work of wisdom by Adi Shankaracharya, who is one of the greatest masters of Sanatan Dharma and mainly as far as Advaita Vedanta is concerned. For those of you who have not yet listened to my commentaries on the 5 introductory prayers of this Dakshinamurthy Stotram, I suggest you listen to them before continuing with this video. I have provided the link of that video in the description below, and it is also available in the video section of my channel and is also in the playlist section of this channel in the playlist titled Adi Shankaracharya's Works of Vedantic Wisdom. Before I go ahead and give my commentary on the first sloka of Dakshinamurthy Stotram, I have a small request to make. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, then I suggest you do so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. So let's move on. The first sloka of the Dakshinamurthy Stotram is as follows. He who experiences at the time of realization his own immutable self, in which the self alone plays as the universe of names and forms, like a city seen in a mirror, due to the Maya power, as though produced outside, as in a dream, to him the divine teacher Sri Dakshinamurthy is this prostration. Except the last verse of this work, all the remaining 9 verses of this work are worded in the form of prostrations to Sri Dakshinamurthy, along with pearls of Vedantic wisdom, which would otherwise be found only after a long study of most of the major Upanishads and other works like the Yoga Vasishta. As I said in the previous video on the introductory prayers, this text of Dakshinamurthy Stotram is ideal for those who do not have either the time or the inclination for an elaborate study of all the Upanishads and other Vedantic scriptures. Adi Shankaracharya, out of his compassion for such souls and humanity in general, has summarized the teachings of Advaita Vedanta in 10 slokas in this work. Now for the meaning of this sloka. In Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma, it is believed that there are a total of 8,64,000 yonis or species of life as possibilities which a soul can take in the process of repeated birth and death in this creation. As we already know, a soul can be incarnated as a human being, or as an animal, or plant, or tree, or even stones and rocks, a microbe, a ghost, a departed soul called Preta, an angel or Devata, a demon or Asura, a Yaksha, which is the nature spirit, an Apsara or heavenly damsel, or demigod, or even Lord Brahma or Indra, the king of heaven. Out of all these species of life, it is only in the human birth or yoni that self-realization is possible. Even lesser demigods and devatas who manage some of the administrative affairs of this universe are ineligible to attain liberation. Liberation or moksha or self-realization is possible only in the human birth. Among the human souls, there are broadly 2 types of such human souls or jivas. One is called conditioned soul and the other is called a realized soul. 99.999999% of the human souls in this world are conditioned souls, and there are hardly a few hundred realized souls on this planet. We conditioned souls are called so because we as souls are under the influence of Maya and the 3 gunas, namely Sattva or goodness, Rajas or passion, and Tamas or ignorance. Because of being conditioned by Maya and the 3 gunas, we are attached to our bodies, our possessions, our families, our relations and friends, our wealth, and so on. These attachments cause bondage for we souls, and until this bondage is present, we cannot attain self realization, which is the opposite of bondage, called liberation. However, at the time of self realization, we souls shall experience the oneness of consciousness, and we shall see that all the different life forms of this creation as one homogeneous mass of consciousness. In this state of awareness called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, we shall enjoy unlimited bliss, happiness, and wisdom. And the best part of it is that this will become the permanent state of our consciousness with no relapse into ignorance. In other words, once we attain liberation, we shall be eternally liberated and blissful and shall never ever again experience sorrow, not even for a single moment. This is the best part of attaining self-realization, which motivates all sincere spiritual seekers to achieve this goal. Now in the above sloka, Adi Shankaracharya says that in the state of realization, the realized soul shall experience his own immutable self. I shall break the above sloka into parts and explain, as that will make it easier for me to explain and also easier for all of you to understand. Normally, in our ignorant and conditioned state of existence, which we have been experiencing since beginningless time, we experience the world in three states, namely waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. In deep sleep, we do not experience the world and do not experience ourselves too. We experience a complete darkness without any awareness of it too. This is the most blissful state of consciousness which any of we conditioned souls can experience during our lives. In the dream state, we experience our own world of plurality, in which we experience different names and forms and have a variety of interactions and dealings with them. Most of our dreams are formed out of our own conscious and mainly subconscious vasanas or impressions or mental conditionings. Now, as far as the waking state is concerned, we experience the gross world of objects and have interactions with different people, places, objects, and other phenomena. Now, according to Advaita Vedanta, even the wakeful state experienced by us is an imagination of our own minds only, similar to the dream world. The only major difference being that the dream world is more temporary, short, and feels more unreal, while the waking state is longer and feels more real and is amid grosser names and forms. Now, once we attain self-realization, our vision would completely change. We would then experience the whole world and its phenomena as taking place within our own being. Right now, in our conditioned state of ignorance, we feel our presence to be limited to the gross body and the rest of the world to be alien to us. But in the realized state, we would experience the whole world within our own consciousness. In other words, since we would have attained self-knowledge, we would feel our presence in every nook and corner of this creation. In other words, we would attain a universal vision of cosmic consciousness as experienced by all realized souls. In the Brahma Gnanavali, Adi Shankaracharya describes one of the characteristics of the realized soul as Sarvasakshi Swarupoham, which means we as the self are a witness to all that happens in this creation. Such a lofty state of oneness of consciousness would be experienced by us once we attain self-realization. This is what is meant by God consciousness. In simple words, we would start to experience the world as God does. Even now we are God only, as Advaita Vedanta declares boldly, Aham Brahmasmi, or I am God. This Mahavakya is not an exaggeration or blasphemy. It is a reality and fact, but only thing, since we are in ignorance and bound to our own attachments, we do not experience this oneness of consciousness. However, once we attain self-realization, we would experience this oneness. So here in the beginning of this sloka, Adi Shankaracharya is saying that Sri Dakshinamurthy, being a realized master and aspect of Lord Shiva himself, similarly experiences his own immutable self at the time of realization. Until we attain realization in the present state of ignorance, we have no knowledge and experience of our own immutable self. Remember, we all were the self, are the self, and will be the self throughout eternity. But we have no first-hand experience of this truth. No doubt we seekers do understand it intellectually, but intellectual understanding is only the tip of the iceberg as far as the spiritual journey is concerned. Even if one has read and mastered thousands of shastras with their deeper meaning, unless one has first-hand experience of the self as his own immutable self, the goal cannot be said to have been attained. Far from it, very far. So that is why it is very important that apart from studying the Shastras to some extent, we should spend at least a couple of hours a day in meditation and thereby silence our minds of all concepts, thoughts and ideas. The more we silence our minds and experience peace in our souls, the more we shall progress on the spiritual path. Study of Shastras is just the beginning and preliminary step. So, in this sloka, Adi Shankara says that Sri Dakshinamurthy, like all other realized masters, experiences his own immutable self at the time of realization. In other words, he experiences his self to be Satchitananda or existence, consciousness, bliss. So, how would the state of realized awareness be? And what is its relationship with the world of change and name and form? How would the realized master look at the world? What is his vision and experience like? All these questions are going to be answered in the coming parts of this first sloka. Adi Shankaracharya says that in this realized awareness, the self alone plays as the universe of names and forms like a city seen in a mirror. The Sankhya system of philosophy states that there are two basic things in creation, matter and spirit. Spirit is called Purusha and matter is called Prakriti. This is true. We all have experienced different types of material things and objects ever since we came here to this planet. And who is the one who is experiencing all these objects? Who is looking through the body into the world of names and forms? Who is expressing himself in the midst of similar other beings in this creation? Let us reflect on this point. The basic teaching of Vedanta is that we are not the body, but we are spirit, soul or consciousness or the self, known as Atman or Brahman. We cannot be the body. If we were the body, what happens to us during the death of the body? After the body dies, it is burned to ashes. Does that mean we are a heap of ashes after death? Does that mean we become dust after death? No. This simple point would make even a child realize that we are not the body, but we must be some entity apart from the body. Also, we are experiencing so many things in our waking state and dream state, isn't it? So who is experiencing all this? Who is looking from within the body? Who is eating, sleeping, working, laughing, crying, talking and doing all these actions? Again, if we say that it is the body who does it, then the question again arises, are we the body? We have understood just now that we cannot be the body since our bodies did not exist a few years back and will not exist a few years down the line. So, do we simply disappear into nothingness upon death? No. So the conclusion is that we are a conscious living entity called the self or soul or Atman who experiences life from within the body but is distinct from the body. Also, everything within this creation is changing from time to time. To experience all these changes, there needs to be something or some basis or support that does not change. We as the self or soul or Atman are that unchanging substratum of this whole creation. We are the soul within the body, no doubt, but our presence extends all over the creation as the super soul. This extended awareness we do not experience now as we are ignorant. This I have already explained. So, according to Sankhya school of thought, there are two things, matter or prakriti or nature, and secondly, spirit or consciousness or self. Advaita Vedanta accepts this and goes one step ahead and says that both spirit and matter are eventually one consciousness only, called Brahman or spirit. According to Vedanta, Brahman or spirit alone exists. There is no creation at all. Then what is this vast creation that we all experience in the wakeful state? Vedanta explains that it is an illusion which is produced by a power inherent in Brahman called Maya. This Maya makes an unreal and non-existent creation appear like as if it exists, and that too with all its special effects. Maya is that which makes the unreal appear real. The most often quoted simile or example in Vedanta is snake in a rope. If we are walking in a poorly lit place or somewhat dark place and suddenly see a rope but mistake it to be a snake, then that appearance of snake is called an illusion, which is appearing because we have misunderstood or miscognized the rope to be a snake. There is no snake there. It is a rope only. But since it is quite dark, the rope appears as a snake to us. It is an error in our perception. The moment we inquire into what is this object in front of me, perhaps with the help of a lamp in our hands, we will realize that it is not a snake but a rope which appeared as a snake due to the darkness and our consequent misperception. So, Adi Shankaracharya says that in the state of realization, all realized souls experience their own immutable self, in which the self alone plays as the universe of names and forms. So these names and forms are not something different or apart from Brahman. Like the snake in a rope, this entire creation is an illusion appearing to be real to us because of our ignorance. The day we realize ourself or Atman or Brahman, we shall realize and experience the entire universe to be our own self alone. Then the two things called matter and spirit shall become one homogeneous mass of consciousness called Brahman. To a realized soul, there are no two things at all. There are no two beings at all. All that exists is nothing but Brahman alone. A realized soul's experience is described in the Yoga Vashishta as follows. The self is Brahman, the mind is Brahman, the intellect is Brahman, the ego is Brahman, you are Brahman, I am Brahman, the world is Brahman, my friend is Brahman, my enemy is Brahman, my house is Brahman, my relatives are Brahman, my chariot is Brahman, my neighbor is Brahman, the three periods of time, past, present and future are Brahman. All indeed is Brahman or Brahman alone. There exists nothing apart from Brahman. This is the experience of all realized souls. And this permanent state of experience of cosmic consciousness is full of bliss and happiness. Once a soul attains realization, he can never ever again experience any sorrow, not even for a moment. This is his eternal and permanent state of happiness and bliss. And the only way to attain this permanent happiness is through self-knowledge of Brahma Vidya. And Brahma Vidya is had by meditating in silence after a thorough study of the major scriptures of Sanatan Dharma. So why does the self alone play as the universe of names and forms? What or who makes this blissful self engage itself with all the names and forms like a child playing with toys? Adi Shankara says that this experience of the saints is like a city seen in a mirror, and this is due to the Maya power of Brahman. As I said earlier, Brahman or the Supreme Self has a power inherent in itself called Maya. It is this power of Maya which makes the self dance amidst the objects of the creation, as it were. This is explained by the saints to be a pastime or sport of Brahman. They say that it is his Leela or pastime. There is no definite purpose to it as such. Brahman doesn't have any motive to fulfill or attain by engaging in the sportful play of its. Adi Shankara compares this creation of Maya to a city seen in a mirror. A city seen in a mirror is not a separate city in itself. It is only a reflection of the city. There are no two cities, one actual city and the second one in the mirror. No, there is only one city, and the city seen in the mirror is only a reflection of the actual city. So Adi Shankara is trying to say that the creation as experienced by a realized soul is as unreal or as fictitious or as imaginary as the reflection of the city seen in a mirror. But then this is not the experience of weak conditioned souls. To us, this creation feels real and will continue to feel real and gross until we establish ourselves in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and thereby attain moksha or liberation. Until then, the world will seem real to us, but not after realization. The next two parts of this first sloka are as though produced outside as in a dream. As I said, 99.99999% of the human beings on this planet are conditioned souls. And to all of we conditioned souls, this creation will seem to be as though it is produced outside ourselves and gross and real. But for a realized soul in his experience, the world is unreal and is an undifferentiated mass of consciousness. The example being given here by Adi Shankara is as in a dream. A city seen in a dream feels real during the time of the dream. But after we wake up from the dream, we realize that it was unreal and a projection of our own mind or imagination. So Adi Shankara is saying that this city-like creation appears to a realized soul like one seen in a dream by any conditioned soul. So for a realized soul, this creation is completely unreal and dreamlike, and he is fully conscious of this fact and truth. And then Adi Shankara concludes this first sloka by saying, to him, the divine teacher Sri Dakshinamurthy, is this prostration. By concluding this sloka and other slokas of this work in this way, Adi Shankara is offering his heartfelt obeisance to all realized masters who, after a long struggle in samsara, have managed to overcome ignorance and bondage and attain freedom. Here Adi Shankara calls Sri Dakshinamurthy a divine teacher. All teachers of all subjects are praiseworthy and worshipable too. Indeed, our culture and all cultures of this world teach us to respect and also worship all of our teachers. As the saying goes, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Guru Devo Bhava. So if we respect and worship teachers of worldly subjects, then how much more should we worship and adore our Acharyas, Sadgurus and Ishtadevtas who teach us the highest wisdom and take upon themselves so much of our karma. Indeed, it is for this reason that every year in the month of May, we celebrate Guru Purnima, and we also have other days of the year for the celebration of the birthdays and Mahasamadhi days of different masters and gods. These occasions give us an opportunity to all of us to express our heartfelt gratitude to all our masters. Finally, Adi Shankara says, to him, the divine teacher Sri Dakshinamurthy is this prostration. I would just like to make a concluding comment about prostration and its importance. Whenever we go to any temple or ashram or holy place, we tend to prostrate to the deity or guru or acharya. This is a practice which not only enables us to get their blessings, but also helps us in progressing and advancing on the spiritual path. Also, we should never prostrate only for material gains or to get a promotion or some other material benefit alone. The main reasons for our obeisance to our gurus and acharyas should be to advance in spiritual knowledge and eventually attain self-realization. With regard to prostration, I am reminded of a sloka which comes twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Once at the end of the 9th chapter and once towards the end of the last chapter or 18th chapter. It goes as follows. Focus your mind on me. Be my devotee, be my worshipper. Prostrate before me. I promise you, you will come to me, for you are dear to me. So prostrations to Shri Krishna, to Sri Shankaracharya, Shri Dakshinamurthy, and to all the masters of Sanatan Dharma and other religions of the world. So friends, here ends my commentary on the first sloka of Dakshinamurthy Stotram. I shall be coming up with commentaries on the following slokas of this work in the days to come. So stay tuned to this channel, and if you like this commentary, then hit the like button. Also, kindly subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day ahead. Hari Om.